So this is the final video in this 4-part series about our little tulip tunnel. So we've prepped it, we've gotten it ready for winter. We planted the tulips into the crates. We put them in the cooler to get them the right amount of cold days. We put them in another warmer cooler to get them to sprout. And then now they're flowering in the tunnel. So here is the tulips. I guess that we've probably already harvested maybe about 150, and then it really doesn't even look like we've even harvested that many yet. So here are the tulips. There's two different varieties in here. This one is Blushing Impressions. It's really pretty. It's really large, but they've been kind of inconsistent. There's some that have been already harvested, some that are just now opening. This other one next to it is Mystic Van Eyck, and you can see those flowers are just starting to form. So it's about 2 or 3 weeks behind, but they all look the same height. Like, they're a lot more consistent. So that is good to see. I've already been harvesting from these beds. They're these crates. So I'll show you how I'm doing that. So there are a few that, are not forming well, and those are kind of rejects. They really do need to be pretty much near perfect. Here is a good example. It's not open, it's closed, it's tall. And all I'm doing is I'm just grabbing at the base of the plant and then pulling it up and leaving the bulb attached. So this is a nice long tulip. These will store in a cooler for several weeks, just like this. They'll even keep getting longer, in fact. And then whenever you're ready for it to go in a vase, the florist that we sell to just breaks off the bulbs at that point and then puts them in a vase or in a bundle, and then they're ready for the customer. You can just wash these off and put it into a vase, like if you're at your house and just want to bring them inside, and they'll last for maybe 2 weeks if you catch them at the right time, and still keep growing inside if you leave that bulb attached. But they'll last about half as long if you take the bulb off. So to clean it up, we're just taking off, maybe one of the petals, and then you get that really just dramatic look that tulips have. So to harvest these guys, I am simply pulling up the ones that are ready, and I just make a stack. I wash off the bulbs, and I take them to the grocer, to Kim at Bell Urban Farm, with the bulbs attached, and then she can keep them in storage as long as she needs to. Pull them out, break the bulbs off, arrange them, put them in a jar, and then they're ready for the customer. So I'm just gonna grab some footage of me harvesting. There's not a whole lot this morning because I picked a lot yesterday, but it pretty much has to happen every day. You do have to harvest every single day with tulips. I feel like the Mystic Van Eyck variety is just gonna all happen at once. And so we'll probably be harvesting whole crates of those and then putting them in the cooler, but then they can be stored and sold for a few weeks, which is pretty cool. So I'll start harvesting the Blushing Impressions right now. So I'm harvesting my tulips now. I'm gonna start pulling them out. The ones that are starting to show some color, but not open. You can catch them before they're open, so the customer gets the longest vase life. And so I'm just laying these in the crate like that. And I'm just gonna start going through here and harvesting. And so you can pull them up pretty quick. The mix that I used was the wood fines and rice hulls, and it's made them really easy. They grew really well in it. I was a little concerned with phosphorus availability at first, but they released really easy, and it seemed like it held enough moisture for the tulips to really do their thing. The pH was pretty neutral. It was pretty low in phosphorus and nitrogen. I didn't give them any nitrogen, additional nitrogen. I did give them a bump of phosphorus because plants tend to have reduced phosphorus uptake in really cold environments. And so even though this had a heater, it still gets pretty chilly in here. And so those are pretty much the only things I really amended with, and they performed really well. And I think what's nice about it too is that I can now just take basically this compost and put that back into this space when I plant flowers here in just a few weeks. So I also like too how easy the plants release from that without disturbing their neighbors. So you can just pull up a flower one at a time and it's not gonna bother the tulips that are next to it. So you keep harvesting and you get something like this. Would be kind of like a final bouquet for somebody. The bulbs are still attached, so those will get washed off, but then they'll get stored with the bulbs. Have a long life in the cooler. They'll keep getting longer even. And whenever we're ready, the bulbs get broken off and they get bunched and sent to the customer. So it looks like the Van Eyck probably still have another week at least, which will be perfect because then the blushing impressions will be wrapping up. So that timing worked out really well. We did have our flowers by Valentine's Day. That made me really happy just to be able to hit that goal. I think I'm gonna push that up even further next year and probably do a lot more tulips. I struggled with the ranunculus and the anemones. I always do. I knew I would. The tulips have been a big success. So I'm excited about that. I'm definitely gonna do those in a bigger way next year. So I think too, one of the things I'm finding is with the overwintered flowers, so far I've struggled with them. Some varieties do really well overwintering, some do not. I'm eager to see that with the round that I'm starting this spring from seed, just how many weeks am I really getting by having those overwintered? And if it's not that many, like if it's only 3 weeks earlier and I had them planted all for months through the winter, I think in the future, some of those will be replaced with cover crops that could be feeding the soil. And then that 3-week gap where I would have had that first round, I'll probably fill in with tulips and some other things I can force in a more controlled environment indoors, and also probably do more with dried flowers and have dried flowers at the ready. You know, for our season is pretty long. I don't know that it's worth doing a lot of overwintered flowers. And one of the things we've run into is that the variability of Arkansas temperatures is super hard on the plants. So some of our plants have died that are able to withstand colder winters than here, because further north, you'd have a consistent temperature drop. It would stay, the plant, which would be like a biennial or perennial, would stay kind of insulated under the snow through the winter, and then in the spring kind of wake up. And here we'll have these stretches of like a 70-degree, 80-degree days, and the plants think it's spring and they start to grow again, and then all of a sudden it drops down to the 20s or the teens, and it's just really, really hard on them. High humidity, high wind, all these different things. The ones in the tunnel have obviously fared the best, which is good. But I think that's something I'm thinking about looking towards next year. And we're hoping to, have a farm next year. We're working towards that goal pretty hard. And, that's what all this year was really for, is just really looking to get a plan, experiment with what's working, what's not working, some things we could adjust before we do it on a much bigger scale. So tulips, definitely a success. Definitely going to keep doing tulips. And I really like this setup that all these tulips have, and all these crates have well produced a great volume of flowers. Then I could just have without the crates and without the heaters and then without the greenhouse through the winter. And then I'll also still be able to get a jump start in planting other things earlier in this tunnel that'll help me get to market weeks before some other folks, and kind of fill in the gap in need for fresh cut flowers early in the season. So this experiment with the partially heated greenhouse and the unheated greenhouse was definitely a success. So I'm excited about this, and I'm eager to see too what the soil looks like. We put down the leaves underneath this landscape fabric a while back in November maybe. And so the worms have had their chance to work on it. And then on top of that, we're going to dump all these crates onto the soil and further feed the soil. So it's all about feeding the soil, getting everything healthy, happy. Thanks for watching the series on our overwintered tunnels and checking out the tulips with me. If you are in Conway and the Central Arkansas area, for the next few weeks, you can get our tulips at Bell Urban Farm in Conway. And so I hope you'll check them out. They have amazing products from other local vegetable producers and meat producers and local artisans. And just Kim does such an excellent job, Kim and Zach, supporting this community and helping keep our dollars local. And we're just giving a lot of care to sustainability and like how products are produced. So go check them out if you are in Central Arkansas. And thanks for watching.